Welcome to another live stream, my friends. Well, guys, Bitcoin has got a nice little rejection off that resistance I pointed out yesterday on stream. As mentioned, I was taking some shorts as there was some signs of weakness, but that doesn't necessarily mean all hope is lost for the market by any means. This trade setup was based off of this 5-minute structure, and the move has more than played out at this point. I'm still open to the idea of the remainder of my positions from up here. Basically running down to a retest of our Friday lows, which would actually be significantly lower at this point. But at this point, it's risk-free and profits have been locked in. So we will see what happens from here. I still have some major concerns just where we're at in this market cycle in general. But as any trader should be, I would be more than happy to see my bearish levels invalidated and see the entire market go parabolic. Nothing would please me more. I want to be clear about that, guys. It's not that I'm a perma bear. It's just that I can't completely ignore the warnings that I see in the charts just to feel that warm, fuzzy feeling inside, because I like to be a realist. I like to be the voice of reason in this market and basically look at the charts for what they are. So basically, you can see I actually ended up just taking another little scalp off of a Stuber fib that I had I had mentioned, not mentioned, just pointed out to myself more so. This was just looking at this as a very tight scalp. I saw it kind of late. It wasn't ahead of time. So whatever, by the time I would have mentioned it, it would have been dropping already. But just another typical Stuber fib setup, the same type of strategy that I point out these short setups, these long setups. I mean, you guys know at this point, 90% of my trades are basically taken off that sort of structure and that sort of retracement. But yeah, basically during my stream yesterday, we were trading near the top of this little range up here. I believe we were trading somewhere right around here at the time. And yeah, basically I was looking for more of a swing fail short. I got my first entry right at the bottom of my red box. I had some laddered entries a little bit higher, never got it, started to see some weakness. So I took another short on another account. So I actually have, I have several shorts running at this point. I got 4 shorts on the go on Bitcoin, just because of typical market structure. I'm still not blind to the idea that, we could end up going a little bit higher. As I was mentioning yesterday, you guys, on the 4-hour chart here with my MDX liquidations indicator, all these yellow and gold, brown bars here, this is all high leverage liquidity zones, basically liquidation zones. And, those levels are all pointing to the upside that we could end up getting some sort of a bounce to grab all of that liquidity, even if, I've been mentioning for a while now, my last couple streams, that we broke some very serious structure, especially on Friday's crash here. Yeah, it is just a wick. So this on its own is a bit of a bullish swing fail. However, it was still a lower low. So it's very possible that just like when typical market structure, we get a sweep of the lows and then get some sort of a reaction to retest resistance. And this is what generally leads people to FOMO into resistance. People think all-time highs, here we come. And rather than waiting for any confirmation, they love starting to pile into longs, hoping for a breakout, right? The same reason why I was shorting here, the same reason why I took my shorts here, you guys. A lot of people on social media saying that this move was totally unpredictable. Don't get me wrong, the speed at which it happened, yeah, I wasn't expecting that, but you guys know I was in a short from a couple of days earlier from up in this fib pocket, because I've been watching this fib pocket since we were on our way up here when I was still in a long, basically when I took my long down here. I was talking about a potential swing fail between 125 and 127.2 thousand. And since, there was a couple days there, you guys, full disclosure, there was a couple of days where I was questioning my theory there. I was starting to question, maybe I shouldn't be in this short. We're just kind of trading sideways. I'm not getting the rejection that I wanted, but we never did break above this red box. We never broke above that 127.2, my clear invalidation level. And then eventually we ended up getting that absolutely catastrophic nuke. So I was ready for it. I wasn't ready at which the speed it happened, but I was ready for it. And I was mentioning on previous streams last week, using this exact same indicator, guys, this liquidations indicator, we had a big liquidations pocket down at around 107K. I said it's very possible, maybe not probable, but very possible that we end up going down to those levels and grabbing that liquidity. If I was a market maker and, there was thin liquidity everywhere, hey, there's a big pocket down here, I would want to grab that, right? So yeah, obviously a lot of things are being blamed for that. But in hindsight, I mean, we had the exact same market structure on this swing back here where the same people got wrecked. And then they did the same thing here, trying to FOMO into a all-time high breakout, not getting enough of a breakout, just getting a fake out, liquidity grab, whatever you want to call it, and then dumping to the downside aggressively. And like I said, we saw that here. We saw it again here. And I would totally expect to see it up here if we end up getting that big recovery rally that everybody's expecting. And guys, that is something that I want to talk about. I know a lot of people are saying, well, that it doesn't get any worse than that. The bottom has to be in. Understand that Bitcoin did not get a crazy liquidation compared to the altcoin market. The altcoin market got devastated because there's low volume, there's thinner order books, all that sort of stuff. So basically when the waterfall started, it just went absolutely nuts. But I mean, a lot of people are comparing this liquidation event to what we got in COVID. And I know I mentioned this yesterday, but basically when we had our COVID crash and our COVID liquidation, Bitcoin actually came down to its macro liquidations band here. And you can see that so far, I mean, that Friday nuke that we got, we never even came close. Okay. That level is actually down around 40K. And I am not saying we have to go there by any means. But what I'm saying is this was nothing as far as Bitcoin goes. Yes, as far as the whole market goes, it was the biggest liquidation event out there. However, when it goes directly with Bitcoin, you know, something with a little bit of meat to it, we never got close to those levels. So just something to consider. And also where this big rejection, like I said, I have big concerns about what the market structure is doing and also where it's lining up here, you guys. And honestly, guys, if you did miss this big move here, I know a lot of people did, but those of you who are in my Telegram, those of you who have been following along in my live streams here, I mean, I called this out live, right, in real time ahead of, we went a little bit higher than that, but I laid out my trade plans there. I also laid out why I thought it was possible. Retail longs were piling in, right? We were starting to see retail longs step in as soon as there was signs of a dip. Retail was ready to hop in, and that often adds fuel to the fire. But we absolutely nailed this again, you know, pointing out that liquidity. I mean, there was signs in the market. As much as people want to pretend that there was nothing you could do to prepare for that, there absolutely was, just by looking at typical market structure. And on top of that, you know, in my Telegram group, I was also saying when I saw my first signs of strength. And as well, I did point out, I think this was actually yesterday, yeah, the 13th here, in the morning, I pointed out that we were starting to see some weakness there. And that brings me to my point of basically this range right here that I was talking about, right? We first saw our weakness over here with the trend master. We got that lower sell signal. We eventually ended up coming back up, but just getting a Stuber fib set up there. So the weakness was already showing in the charts at that point. So yeah, basically the way that you need to approach trading, you guys, is always accept the fact that you could be wrong, right? That's the difference is, you know, yeah, I was bearish, and not even bearish actually, you know. Let me bring that post up again here, you guys, where I shared that I was entering a short. I was open about this. I was actually feeling bullish, but the fact that we were getting into a Stuber rejection zone inside a macro swing fail rejection zone, basically I was just looking at it as a risk reward type of setup, that we were at resistance. So that's all there was to it. It's not that I was overly bearish on the market. I was just playing the chart for what it is, you guys. And if that is something that interests you, like I said, do yourselves a favor, scan the QR code, get into my Telegram, because I really try to be the voice of reason. I'm very good at keeping a level head and just talking through the charts and showing what I see as far as basic market structure, right? There was absolutely the possibility that I could have been wrong up here, but who cares, right? If I was wrong and we ended up breaking out to the upside, okay, well, at that point, I mean, my entry is 125, 221. So right from about there, oh, let me try that again. Let's just go from there. But either way, I mean, there was less than a 2% move to have that invalidated. And a lot of people were not willing to accept that risk by playing a resistance play setup. And instead, a lot of people liquidated their entire accounts, you guys, because not only were they not willing to accept that resistance might be a real thing on a macro time frame like that, but a lot of people were also using cross leverage without maybe understanding just how dangerous it can be. So, unfortunately, that is the sad reality of trading. A lot of people get wrecked. That is unfortunate. But those of you guys who are here with me, hopefully we're able to avoid some of those losses, or even hopefully you didn't just survive. Hopefully you thrived with me there, because yeah, that's something that was on our radar for quite a while there, you guys. As it stands right now, like I said, we're going to have to see what happens as far as those liquidation levels go. Yeah, there's absolutely a possibility that we end up climbing higher and then, retesting all-time highs and maybe even break out from there. If we break this red box, which my new swing fail actually goes a little bit higher, right? Because we set that slightly higher high. My swing fail now actually runs up to about 130K. So if we end up breaking that, at that point, I can start looking for those pullbacks as we set higher highs, confirming higher lows, basically. But until that happens, we need to respect resistance. And I really hope that a lot of people, hopefully didn't have to, but if you did, I hope that you learned a valuable lesson to respect resistance when we get there, right? The same people who are getting bearish down here were the ones getting bullish up here, getting bullish up here again, and will get bullish again up here. That's just the way it goes. As far as price action looks, it always looks strongest when we're getting to resistance. It always looks weakest at support. That's very natural. Now, you guys, something else I want to put on your radar here is the possibility that the worst is not over. Let's bring up the long short ratio, you guys. And this is something I was talking about since before the crash, that if retail longs start climbing, generally speaking, retail is wrong. And that ends up being fuel for the fire. Now, look where we ended up getting this bearish cross, basically, where retail started longing aggressively. And right now, even on this dip here, retail is very aggressively trying to long this bounce, right? If retail was starting to short this very heavily late like this, I would assume that, yeah, we're going to bounce right back to all-time highs. The fact that retail is trying to long this out of hopium makes me think that, again, that could just be more fuel for that fire and end up pushing us down. But the good news is, even if we go down, hopefully we're going to have support, right? I have these two support boxes outlined, and that is basically just looking for a Stuber fib from where we've bottomed out so far, where we had our bottom on that Friday sell-off, pulled to where our current highs are, where I took that short yesterday. Notice that support starts around 104.5, 104.6 thousand US dollars. And that runs basically down to 99.3K. Yes, it's a very big range. Yes, that's a very big invalidation range. And yeah, you got to treat it as such. So if you're looking at laddering into leverage positions, for example, that's where I would be looking at more so laddering into a position rather than just going all in at one entry level. I always ladder into positions. I always ladder out of positions because I like to, if I'm going to get stopped out, I want to have that average entry at least closer to my invalidation, basically. And that doesn't mean doubling down, tripling down, quadrupling down on my position. Like, let's say this, for example, I am toying with the idea. I would like to get into some long positions down here. Even if I have my shorts running, I'd like to get into some sort of a hedge down here. If I'm not still in my shorts, then at that point, I would still be looking for confirmations on lower timeframes to get into a long down at these support zones. But we're going to have to see what happens, basically. As it stands right now, typically speaking, I like to see those pullbacks to those support zones, and the fact that we are looking a little bit weak up there. I still think it's very possible we come down to these support levels. And again, if we do, everybody's going to get very bearish at support again, especially if we get a swing fail like this. You will see so many people shorting into this green box when that is actually a perfect swing fail, liquidity grab, fake out zone, whatever you want to call it, as long as we can basically, test into it, but reclaim it very quickly. I would be very interested in playing longs on that sort of a setup. As it stands right now, even if we end up climbing a little bit higher right now, I would be I'd start being cautious. Let me actually, since I have my support boxes, I'm just going to clean things up a little bit here. I'm also going to delete these boxes because they're not as interesting to me at this point. But if we do end up getting a little bit of a climb a little bit further here, I would start looking for resistance, something like this, basically, because we started a little mini downtrend here. If we are going to continue to the upside, I would basically start looking for resistance around 114.5K. So doesn't mean that it has to hold by any means, but again, just please don't be one of those people, even though it could play out. Don't be one of those people who's just longing aggressively with leverage into resistance, right? You want to buy support, you want to sell resistance. As much as you feel from your gut that you want to do the opposite, typically speaking, that's what we're more so going for. Let me know in the chat, how are you all doing today? By the way, guys, if you do appreciate these live streams, do me a favor, hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't. You don't want to miss these live streams because, guys, as I mentioned, I mean, been calling some of these nice swings out basically in the Telegram as well as live on these live streams. I called out the last two major swings, right? We were looking for longs down here. Basically, I had a fib pulled like so. Let me actually remove those liquidation levels and let me erase this old range. But you guys know that I was long from this Stuber fib down here. I was a total moon boy. I was longing the shit out of altcoins this whole rally to the upside. And then I got bearish up here. And that's where people like to give me a hard time and say, how could you be bearish when all these bullish things are happening in the market? Well, it's because I trade charts. I don't trade tweets. I don't trade fundamentals. I trade charts. I think it's so... If you think that you are going to have an edge and that it's significantly easier to, analyze the entire global economy and how it's going to react to all our bipolar leaders out there, it's way easier to understand basic market structure, but people love looking for that reasoning. But unfortunately, the reasoning for why this move happened didn't catch it, whereas looking at a basic fib pull did catch it. Right. So again, that's why I trade charts, not tweets and fundamentals. So, but yeah, I hope you all survived that move. I hope none of you guys were on, aggressive cross leverage with the rest of your holdings on the same account. That is such a dangerous thing to do because it can grab into your other assets and that sort of thing. Just hearing so many horror stories of what some people went through due to slippage and using cross leverage. That's so dangerous. But so I hope you all survived that. Like I said, I hope some of you guys even thrived in this. Let me know in the chat if you guys did catch some of my signals in the Telegram or on my live streams. You were able to profit off that or just protect yourself. More importantly, let me know in the chat. But guys, thank you so much for being here with me. By the way, I know I've been just hammering out these very quick live streams lately. Hopefully you are appreciating the shorter live streams and just getting more of them so that we can get more up-to-date stuff. But yeah, not a lot has really changed since yesterday. Everything kind of just trading sideways. Like I said, we got that nice reaction overnight. I'm still not opposed to the idea of retesting support of our bigger range. If we end up finding support there, it's absolutely possible that we go to new all-time highs or back up to that swing fail zone around 130K. But obviously nothing's for sure, right? I would still be taking profits on the way. Whatever range I have pulled with fibs, like this one, for example, since that's the one I would be looking for, then obviously my entries, this is what I love about Fibonacci's and why I love teaching people about them, you guys, is the thing with Fibonacci's and what you need in trading. Not that you need Fibonacci's, but you need a systematic trade strategy that you can continue to use over and over, doing the same trade setup over and over with no emotions attached. And that's what I love using fibs for, because there is no what ifs. There is no gut feelings or anything. We have very standard levels here. I have my entries. I have my take profits. I have my invalidation. And then we have breaking out into a new range, basically, right above the highs. So we have all the information we need to lay out the same trade strategy. At that point, it's just, dialing in how you're going to ladder into your entries and that sort of thing. So obviously before you put any money on any trades, you should always do back testing. You guys use that replay feature on TradingView. Probably literally the most important thing any trader could ever do, and what most traders tend to ignore. The average trader is very willing to lose $10,000 in trading before they would ever consider the possibility of backtesting for 10 hours and doing a little bit of homework to find out what your probabilities are. I know it's not fun, it's not sexy, it's not gambling at the time, but if you want to be a successful trader, you need to be backtesting trade strategies and have something that you can repeat, because your gut feelings are always going to change, I promise you. That being said, I want to, let's just take a look at this guy. So it looks like Aster's showing a little bit of strength. I did take a bit of a long on Aster. Same thing, just another Stuber fib. Just a very basic scalp. Same thing, risk-free at this point. Hit my first couple of targets relatively quickly, and then risk-free from there with a break-even stop. So as I treat any trade setup, you guys, always looking at basically scalp first, trading the range first, and then hoping that the second half of my position turns into a runner. Basically, that's what I look for when I enter my positions. So Ethereum still looking not so bad, but we do have some macro resistance coming up as soon as we get to approximately, well, 44.55. Let's just call it 44.50. We start to run into a little bit of resistance there. Like I said, Aster actually showing some nice strength right now, and also outlined by the MDX Capital Flow Index. A very cool indicator I've just kind of started using because I saw someone explain some things you can do with it. But yeah, very cool way to look at the strength of multiple coins without even having to change charts. So very cool. Apparently Solana is showing some strength. Hop over to the 5-minute here. See what this is saying. Should be about the same. Just taking a bit to load. Yeah, so same thing. Solana showing strength. Well, basically, since stable coins are not showing much strength down here, that suggests that, yeah, it's very possible that we see some of these coins bouncing. So might not want to be looking for aggressive shorts at this point. Although, to be fair, there is potential mini Stuber fibs, something like this. So even on Solana on the 5-minute around 204.30, I would start watching for resistance. But yeah, I don't think all hope is lost for the market. I still think that there is a lot of potential for altcoins to go for a rip. I know Bitcoin dominance. Let's see, dominance. I know I'd mentioned yesterday that it basically hit my target. What time frame? That must have been the daily. Yeah, the fact that we hit my Stuber target on the daily Bitcoin dominance suggests that, yeah, you know, it could reverse at this point, and I think altcoins would still be in a very good place. Obviously, things like Friday, anytime that Bitcoin or the market's going to crash in general, obviously altcoins are going to feel that as well, but it's more so when Bitcoin has its footing and Bitcoin is actually holding some decent support. That's when I start to look at altcoins, looking for those long setups. So lately, I'm actually more open to the idea of shorting Bitcoin, but looking for those long opportunities in altcoins, just in case altcoins go for a nice big cycle at the end here, end of the cycle. Seeing a lot of familiar faces in here, even a couple new faces. So guys, if you are new around here, please be sure to do me a favor, hit that like button, goes a long way for the new channel here, and as well subscribe so you don't miss these live streams here. Trying to do them as often as I can recently. The liquidation chart for Ethereum, I will pull that up and notice that the little bit that I do see, there's actually not much on here right now. The little bit that I do see is just kind of hovering around the Stuber fib that I have outlined there. And there's actually a little bit in my red box. It might be hard to see, but there is a little bit right around double top territory up here around 47.50. So not super obvious levels of high leverage liquidations there. Could also just be because I have it on such high leverage. Probably not near as many traders on Ethereum with that. So yeah, Bitcoin dominance still looking okay. Stocks, gold have been better trading for me than crypto lately. Yeah, I mean, everyone has their own trading that works for them, right? Crypto, it's very volatile for a lot of people. I love trading crypto, even with high leverage. Not most people shouldn't use as high of leverage as I do, but I have a good understanding of invalidations and bankroll management and stuff at this point. So but yeah, a lot of people trading stocks more so lately, but even the stock market got hit hard on Friday. Everything got hit by that. Yeah, the shorter, more regular format is better. I agree, and I appreciate the feedback. Thanks, guys. I've been getting a lot of comments lately that you're loving the shorter videos. Love to see it. Brian, welcome. Good to see you here again, my friend. But anyways, guys, yeah, speaking of keeping it short, I think that's about all I wanted to go over today. So hopefully you guys did find this stream useful. If so, please do me a favor one more time, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss these live streams. And as mentioned, if you want access to my private Telegram, where I share some of my favorite trading strategies, trade setup ideas, just my overall thoughts on the markets and market structure in general, there is the scannable QR code on the screen, as well as a link down in the description below. And again, yeah, if you're having a hard time keeping your emotions at bay in these crazy times and just need a bit of a, I suppose, a helping hand understanding market structure and how I just pull Fibonacci's and how I look at, indicators and all that sort of stuff, that scan the QR code on the screen. And as well, you guys, my partners at BloFin are currently still running this promo celebration of the launch of this new YouTube channel for the live streams. So those of you in my Telegram channel, those of you guys who do sign up under me until October 20th, you currently get this promo as far as deposit bonuses and trading volume. So if that's something that interests you, again, do yourselves a favor, scan the QR code, get in there, and hope to see you there. With that, my friends, I hope you have a fantastic rest of your evening. Stay safe out there, my friends. Peace.